Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I do apologize that these reviews have been as late as they are, but I was at the Toronto International Film Festival, as I'm sure you saw from all my reactions, and I was running around back and forth and literally had no time to sit down and properly review and assess movies. But besides the fact that it was a bit, of a time crunch the whole time I was there, this year's TIFF was a wonderful experience. As you can see, I got this ho-oh in the background now, so that was definitely because I was in Toronto. I have that, and you can admire that if you wish. But really, back to the festival, it's just so amazing being able to meet so many people who I've admired on YouTube for years, that I'm hanging out with, and people that I've been following for a long time. Finally being able to meet up with them, it's really an incredible experience like no other. And so many other people I met, Gabriel LaBelle, who I don't have a picture of, but shout out to you, man, if you're somehow watching this video. It was really a pleasure to meet you. So many other people as well that I ran into. It's a delightful experience, and I think the thing that I love about TIFF so much is just how it brings us all together, all of us film fans, all of us creators, all of us actors. I mean, there really is nothing like it, and I really just love being connected with so many people through our love of film. And yeah, so really just another great successful year at TIFF. But let's get into the movies. I wanted to start off on one of the bigger titles at this year's Toronto International Film Festival, being The Life of Chuck, written and directed by Mike Flanagan, starring Tom Hiddleston, Mark Hamill, Chiwetel Ejiofor, Karen Gillan, Jacob Tremblay, and Nick Offerman. And this, of course, is an adaptation of the Stephen King story that I guess Mike Flanagan said really struck a chord with him at the particular moment in his life that he read it, which was at the beginning of COVID. And I can see why it definitely resonated with him in such a strong way, considering what the story is about and where it eventually leads. Now, one thing I will say about Mike Flanagan is I haven't seen a whole lot of his work. I still needed to see the Ouija movie he did, as well as Hush, Gerald's Game, a lot of stuff there. I hear his Netflix series are absolutely phenomenal. Definitely have to check that out at some point. Really, the only movie I've properly seen from him is Dr. Sleep, the sequel to The Shining, which I really, really enjoyed when it came out about 5 years ago now, I believe. And I really was excited to see what this film was going to be like. I didn't really have a solid sense of expectation for it, though. I knew it was going to be really good because Mike Flanagan has been, hitting it out of the park lately. But I did not expect it to be one of my favorite movies from the entire festival. Life of Chuck is absolutely fantastic in all the ways I did not expect. Even though it seems on paper to be a little dark, and I guess it definitely has darker elements to the story, this is one of the most joyous, life-affirming movies I have seen in some time, and left a huge smile on my face throughout a good portion of its runtime. But just the way it looks at life and how joyous that is that we have this gift, it is really unbelievable. But I think what really works about this movie is the screenplay. The dialogue is top-notch, absolutely excellent. The conversations these characters have, because it's broken up into 3 chapters and it's kind of told backwards, chronologically speaking. And it's really interesting how little interactions between specific individuals really have such a huge impact on the story in ways that you really don't expect. But I think really fleshes out the perspective of this film and the beauty that is having multiple different perspectives, having these very complex thoughts and conversations with each other, and how that might ruminate in one's mind many years into the future. It really is such a beautiful exploration into the mind of a creative, I think, more than anything, because Mike Flanagan said he heard the quote, I believe it was from the story, what happens to a library when an author dies? And that's kind of what set off this whole story, narratively speaking, not to give too much away, but it really says a lot as to how our personal experiences inform our art, and how we incorporate elements of human interaction into these stories that become so enriched because of it. And I think that's the beautiful thing about this movie that really resonated with me more than anything. But yet, again, just this beautiful story about this guy's life and what he did, how he sees things. I don't really want to give too much away because it's really one of those movies where you have to watch it to kind of understand what the story is and what you're going to get out of it. And I really do think it is just such a fantastic screenplay from Flanagan. I really think if this does get distributed this year, that he deserves a Best Adapted Screenplay nomination for this, because this is one of my favorite scripts of the entire year, I would say, so far. And my goodness, there is a dance sequence in the middle of this film. Well, there's a few dance sequences, honestly, but one that goes on for 7 minutes long. It is one of the best dance sequences in cinema, and I'm really a sucker for a great dance sequence, and what they do here really just had me captivated for the full stretch of time. And it is one of those things too where it's not just because the filmmaking is so great, but the way they incorporate the themes and the characters, and really the narration from Nick Offerman, which I thought was really spectacular. Because at first I was like, okay, what are we doing here? But it really does get very self-reflexive, introspective, in all the best ways. He's commenting on this world in a way that gives more insight, as it does, kind of give us exposition. And sure, there's probably a little exposition in there, but I think overall it is so effective, and I'm really glad that I did love the narration in the film, because I'm sure you guys all agree narration's very hit or miss, but this is in the vein of something like Shawshank Redemption, like Stand By Me. Yes, I really do think this is one of the best Stephen King adaptations of all time. And I really don't see how this won't get picked up prior to awards season. I think this could be a sleeper hit in regards to picking up some nominations at these awards shows. I really do think this is going to resonate with a lot of people. It has a very Spielberg-esque sensibility to it, in a way that the sentimentality of the story isn't necessarily overwrought, but it's just the perfect amount that's earned and believable. And I really, really loved what they did here. And I think the performances are excellent. Tom Hiddleston surprisingly kind of plays second fiddle to the story in a way that you wouldn't expect, considering, he's on the poster, he is Chuck. But I thought he was really great in the scenes he was in. Chiwetel Ejiofor always is, delivering. Karen Gillan I really liked as well. I really did like the kid who played the younger version of Chuck, though. And I believe his name is Benjamin Pajak. He was really, really great and cemented the story, I think, to its core when he was on screen. And really, Mark Hamill as well gets some amazing standout moments. He might be the standout of the entire cast, which I suppose isn't really much of a surprise. But honestly, what this movie has to say about the passage of time, what we accomplish, what we do, it is just such a relatable human story, and I think it's going to speak to a wide audience if it does get released this year. But when it does get released, and it absolutely will, it is going to touch many's hearts. And yeah, I absolutely loved what this movie did. The only thing that I am hung up on, and the only reason I'm not giving this an even higher score, is the supernatural elements of the story. Some of them work, but I really don't understand how they tie into the setup of this film. And I understand what Flanagan was going for, but I'm really not sure if I necessarily agree with it. And I don't know if it 100% works from a narrative standpoint. But that's the thing, even in, every segment of the film has so many great, poignant moments of people pondering their existence, talking about these very meaningful aspects of life that, within the context of the film, makes sense that they are contemplating. And yet again, I don't want to give too much of the story away, because it's one of those movies where you have to watch it and just fully be engrossed and let the narrative, take you for a ride. Because not knowing anything about the story or the film itself really led to me being so delightfully surprised in all the best ways. This is an absolute must-see when it comes out, whenever that is. And I'm going to give The Life of Chuck a very solid 9 out of 10. I can't believe that I'm saying this, but not only is this Mike Flanagan's best movie, but like I said, it's one of the best Stephen King adaptations of all time. Maybe not quite at the same level as some of the other classics that I mentioned, but still worthy to be in the conversation nonetheless. And I cannot wait for you guys to see this movie when it comes out. But let me know if you've seen The Life of Chuck already at TIFF and what you thought about it down in the comments below. Would love to hear that. And of course, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more of these reviews coming out of the Toronto International Film Festival. Not sure which one I am doing next, but rest assured there's going to be a plethora of videos coming your way in the next week or two. So yeah, guys, stay on the lookout for that, and I'll talk to you very, very soon.